All right. Well, let's get started then. So we're picking up. Hey, Pat. We're picking up where we left off last 2 weeks ago. What we did last time is we detected a plane both horizontally and vertically, and then we would overlay an image, a static UI image on top of whatever that plane that was detected, which made it really kind of cool to point your phone at the wall and then, turn your wall into an image. And so that's, some pretty basic VR. And we had time maybe to try new things, and we were going to try to do a video. We thought, oh, it'd be cool to turn my, this painting into a TV or something that could display video. And we tried that. We didn't really have any luck because we didn't really know what we were doing. So I've had a chance to spend some time on Stack Overflow and do some research, and now we've got stuff that'll work. So I'll start sharing my screen, and let's take a look at what we're going to do today. Unlock that, share. Okay, so what we have is we're going to start with some really, really simple code, and I'm going to go through this in detail, probably line by line. So it's a pretty simple function we're going to add that adds video, and it adds it just in the middle of the scene. So that's what we're going to start out with, and I'll just run it real quick just so you get an idea of what it looks like. This basically just adds it arbitrarily in front of us, and
Okay.
yeah, and then it just starts, playing like right away. So as you can see, this is my scene right here, and then the video just plays like right in front of us. So this is the simplest type of implementation. We're not detecting anything, like what we want to do is we want to display on the wall. One of the things is maybe replace this painting right here with video. So we're going to do that after we play with this piece, just so at least we know the basics, right? So here's what we're going to do. And I posted this on the meetup in the comments if you want to pull the code in. I don't know if anybody's following along in code, but this is basically the code that we're going to be adding in today. So let's start from scratch, and we'll create a new project, and we'll just go ahead and add the video to it. So we go to Xcode, and I'm going to say File. I'm going to say New Project. And single view app, we could do it that way. We're going to take a shortcut this time. We're just going to have Xcode set up everything, including the plist element that asks for permission to use the camera. If you do this way, you have to actually go and modify the plist yourself. So this time we're just going to go ahead and go into that. I'm going to say hello, simple video or something like that. And we're going to do SceneKit, and storyboard is our user interface. And we go on to, it doesn't even give you, interestingly, Swift UI is not even an option here. As you remember, we were playing with Swift UI before, so it looks like we don't have that option yet, but that's okay for now. I'm not going to make a Git repository. I don't really care to track this or do anything with it. It's just kind of a throwaway project. And so by doing it this way, what Xcode did is it already, in the storyboard, it went ahead and added the AR scene view. So ARS, you notice that right here, it says ARS scene view. That was already put in there. If we did it the other way, we wouldn't have already had this element in here. So that's done, and it's connected in code. If you go to the view controller, here's the outlet for it. So that's already done. Makes our lives a lot easier. And it also went into the plist and added the request for, let's see here, localization camera. Here it is. So this was added for us where it's asking for permission to use the camera. And it didn't put a string in there, so I'm going to say need camera for ARKit, whatever we want. But that needs to be in there. Otherwise, it'll just crash right away. And then if you're doing this for the first time, you'll be like, oh, what did I do? And it'll take a few minutes to figure it out. So if we run this as is out of the box, I'm going to go ahead and run it. And this is out of the box. What they're giving us is a ship scene that comes from Apple. Okay, it looks like the internet's speeding up a bit here. So add the okay to allow the camera. And then once that's done, we have our SceneKit here with this 3D scene that was just added right there. So that's just, right there out of the box. We're going to take all of this out and we're going to replace it with our video. So, okay, so we're going to take all of this out and we're going to take out the scene creator here. We don't really need to show the statistics, so we take that out as well. And then view will appear, and view will disappear, we can leave. We can take this out. These delegates we'll use later. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and copy from the gist so I don't have to bore you as I retype everything here. Let's go do it this way here. And I'll go through what we're doing. But the first thing to do is we're going to set up an AV player. And in fact, I'll just copy these right here and then we'll add in. I'll go through this, what we're doing. So this is our first thing. We're going to put in set up an AV player and we're going to change these guys. Let's go copy that there. Okay, so we set up this, we're not doing yet. And so this is going to be, and you notice in scope, if you're coming from Swift, scope is very important. This we're referencing in all of these different functions, so that's why it's in the view controller's scope. So we set it up as an optional because we're gonna define it later. And when the view will appear, we set up the configuration for wheel tracking, and then we run it. And after the view has appeared, or view did appear, is when we're going to add the video, and that's that function that we're going to go ahead and create down here. Again, these we're not using now, so I'll just comment them out. Oops. For now, and we'll use those later. So far, any questions from anybody so far? Okay, yeah, feel free to jump in if anybody has a question about what we're doing, where we're at. But really what we're doing is we want to load the scene, set it up as world tracking, and then run the configuration, which is basically world tracking configuration. This is I think probably the most important thing that you need to do is be able to track objects in your environment using ARKit or SceneKit. So you have to have this. This is pretty much in every one of the projects that we've played with so far. And then I'm going to grab the code here for the video itself, and then we'll add the video too, because we don't have any videos yet. So we'll do that after I drop the code in here. So what we're doing in here is we're putting in add video function. So why did this get moved over a little bit here? That's fine. Okay, so let me make sure you guys can see this more easily there. Okay. we're going to drop the video in there we're just going to copy it, and that will then be able to tell the audio AV player what the URL to the video is. Then we set up a plane for the geometry. This is the player geometry scene plane, and we're going to give it an arbitrary width of 1.6 meters, a height of 0.9. And if you remember last time, and in fact, let's kind of do this just for fun. This is really cool. We were using a UI image, and let's grab an image and let me show you what I mean by this. We were doing a UI image in here instead, and oops, that was weird. UI image. And the image was, let's see, name, what was it called? And I think it was just simply ocean. This is where we left off last time. We had the ocean UI image. And is this in the way? No, that's in the way of my screen. So, and let's get that asset in there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that image. Let me move this here, and I'm going to go to my desktop where I store my stuff for the workshop. And let's drop an ocean image in here. I'm just going to put it in here. And while we're at it, make sure you add to targets that this is checked. For some reason, sometimes it's not checked, and then it won't work. And we're going to put in, let's do this video right here, the team walking. We're going to use that later when we actually use the videos. So I'm going to drop that in there, and see here's an example. This time it didn't check it off, which is easy to miss and is going to cause a crash later when it tries to reference the image. So make sure you check that off, hit finish. And now we have both of those assets in here. And so if I run it now, nothing will happen because I commented that earlier, if you remember, at AR video. But let's uncomment it and see what it looks like so far. All right, so as soon as the view did appear function gets invoked, I like to say fires, we're gonna get the URL path from the bundle, from the main bundle. That is gonna be referenced by the player, the AV player, and it's not going to do anything because right now we're using the UI image, and just to see, how this works. And it positions, okay, so here's the other thing. The player node is the geometry, but we're positioning it 2 meters on the negative Z axis, which is actually in front of the device. So let's go ahead and run it and see if I've got this so far set up properly. Oh, it crashed. Why did it crash? Oh, because I don't have training. I changed it, remember? So let's go ahead and fix that. And I have to do this here because some reason
you had a different video?
Go ahead.
You had a different video, is that right?
Yeah, I changed it. I put in, let's see, I did team walking instead. And we don't even need it yet, but we're not using it, but it's going to affect us later. So let's refix that real quick.
Does it need to know that it's .jpeg, or does it assume that?
I think it just, I don't remember doing that. No, I didn't specify JPEG last time.
What does use double-sided mean in this context?
Oh, so what this means, first material is double-sided means that the plane that we're displaying the image on, the image is going to be visible on both sides of that plane.
Okay.
Because otherwise it would be just a white. See, if I didn't have this in here, I would think that that was the problem because I'm looking at it from the wrong angle or the wrong side. So in this case, I have it as double-sided, so it should have worked, right? Let me take a look at my ocean image and make sure. Yep, that's good. And I'll try this just for fun. See what happens. Move this over here. There, okay. So Jamie, you're right.
Huh. Well,
Yeah.
what can I say?
Yeah, that's really weird because it didn't have it last time. Let me try it again. This is really strange.
Maybe the default type is wrong or something. I mean, like maybe it's a PNG or something. Although I would have thought it would.
Oh, you know, that could have been too, because maybe the default is PNG. I think the default is PNG, but nowadays. But anyway, so that now displays the image. So that's really cool, right? So I love that now all I have to do is I can say, oh, I'm just going to replace that with this whole UI image right here. I'm going to replace this with a player. Also, you can do other things. You could actually say, oh, show the image while the video is being downloaded. And you can do a check to see if the video is done and then show the image. And then as soon as the image is ready or somebody hits play, you can replace that with the video. So let's see if now this does it. All I did is I changed the player, and I'm going to hit compile again, and let's take a look at it. Cool, there it is.
Nice.
I picked
we just didn't have an AV player involved. Was that the deal?
Right, yeah. So this basically loads, and all you have to do is load an AV player, and then just, you know, set the position of your plane, geometry, which is really cool. Here's the other thing too. Remember, we were playing with different shapes. We should be able to project the videos or any images on something other than a plane. For example, a sphere, something that's curved or whatever. So we have infinite possibility. So we'll experiment with that later when the time to break things hour comes up, which is sometimes all the time. Okay, so. So here's now the challenge, right? So now what we want to do is we're going to want to go back to the code that we had before and go detect those planes. And I'm going to want to, you know, create something where we can actually, you know, detect a plane. Once we're done detecting the plane, we can hit it and see if we can add an image on whatever plane we detected. So we'll start a new project and we'll do it that way. So this was the simplest code that I could find to do this with, or create rather. So any questions before I close this project? Anybody want to see anything about this before I close it? All right, then I'll go ahead and close this project and we'll make a new one.